Oh.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Coco here with Kiadane and Ray. We just finished watching the next episodes of the Hey Arnold series. These two episodes were Arnold's hat and Stoop Kid. So let's begin with Arnold's hat. The episode opens up with Arnold daydreaming, and then we see his morning process, which he gets up, takes a shower, eats, and at no point does he remove his hat. And he makes a big deal about how much it means to him. Then we see that Helga has a shrine made out of gum to him, and so she's trying to get the hat from him to complete the look. She does at some point, and afterwards Arnold feels very incomplete without the hat, kind of becomes a little sad, and so Helga returns the hat to him after several obstacles, which with having to take it out of the dumpster since it was thrown away.
Indeed.
Well, the dump.
Well, yeah, she actually went to the dump. She embraced the trash in order to find it. She became the trash woman.
She was already the trash woman for doing what she did.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, first thing that's stuck out to me, since we had discussed this before, this is another episode that opens up with him dreaming. And he's dreaming about flying on a kite, which is probably why in the beginning of the episode he was trying so hard to make that kite that he and Gerald had fly.
You know what? I didn't make that connection.
You didn't?
Ever. Never made that connection.
I'm again gonna make a reference to the fact that he wants a more exciting life.
Yeah.
That he just wants to fly away from everything and live an exciting life with clouds who greet him.
Yeah. Clouds who say the name of the show.
Exactly. Fucking title dropping clouds.
Yeah.
And his alarm. He probably made that alarm, so the comment you said about how you read somewhere that he pretty much made everything in his room is probably true. But I'm just wondering what would drive him to create such a horrible thing. Because if I had an alarm like that, I would kill it. Not destroy it, I would kill it.
It's also really narcissistic, because it's himself.
Yes.
But I like that it runs on it's a potato battery. I got really excited. My mouth was trying to move.
You were like Porky Pig. And as we were watching this show, it's so funny because there's this part where Arnold is sitting down on a park bench and he takes out a piece of gum that he's chewing and puts it under the bench. And I made a comment that was like, "You are what's wrong with the world today, Arnold." And immediately, Helga just comes and takes the gum and puts it in a plastic bag. And I was just, "You're what's even worse with the world today, Helga."
Like, she even has the tweezers ready, and
like she was expecting him to go out and put gum under a bench.
Yeah.
She knows his daily routine so well.
That's really
She knows his habits so well.
And that's how she was able to make the altar completely out of gum. It's probably all his gum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Ugh.
probably does that thing where he chews gum and puts it under his desk at school, too.
And she knows exactly when to grab it.
Yeah.
She's like got this down to a science.
Yeah.
Yep. She's the scientific one.
Yeah, she's probably a better scientist than Arnold and Gerald are.
Probably.
Well, she's definitely the science of stalking.
Yeah.
She knows how to avoid the popo.
Oh, okay, so when Arnold gets out of the shower in the morning and he brushes his hair up, it makes that really gross slimy sound effect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does he not wash the conditioner out of his hair, or like?
Maybe. I mean, some people say that like leaving conditioner in your hair for a while is good for it. But I don't think that's what I don't know. I can't say what the creators were thinking, but they put that sound in there.
It's a weird Foley choice.
Yeah, they put that sound in there, so you have to wonder why.
Yeah. Okay, so if Grandma was a criminal, and like earlier in her life. Why does she think she's in the Old West?
Maybe she has a really hard time.
Maybe she's a Time Lord.
Well, I wasn't gonna, say that. Maybe she's looking for a sense of identity, or she has led a very, very exciting life and likes to reminisce about those good old times.
Mia.
Back when she lived in the South.
In the West, not the South.
Southwest.
I mean, all right.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly when this was. I guess this was when he was having another daydream, but I'm assuming those people that we saw who gave him the hat are his parents, which would make this the first sign of his parents that we see in the series.
Yeah, and it kind of, if this is supposed to be exactly how it happened, then I kind of get the feeling that, like, the whole thing with parents dressing up their kids and trying to put an image onto them that they themselves are maybe not ready for or ever really, decided for themselves. So I guess in the case of Arnold, he just kind of accepted it and it became part of his identity.
Mm-hmm.
Part of his physical identity.
Okay, like, the hat, though, on his head as a baby is the same size as the hat on his head when he's 9.
Well, maybe his head never, grew.
I mean, maybe, but...
His body just, expanded out from under the head.
Like watermelon vines or something.
Yep, exactly.
That must have been a difficult birth.
No.
Oh, no! Oh, God!
Like, that's why his parents left. His mom just could not stand looking at him.
Well, no, she could not stand.
Well, yeah.
Terrible.
Maybe it was a C-section.
It were probably all the way up to J section.
They'd have to turn him sideways and pull him out.
Oh, no. So I wrote down, just to start off, like, never takes off hat, part of identity or dark secret.
Well,
so I guess that we kind of put that off and turned it into part of identity.
He did take the hat off to dry it.
That's right. Like, which is why the it's more.
He couldn't hair dry his hair. He had to hair dry the hat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the altar that Helga made, Helger, was weirdly Hindu in design.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Yeah, it had the
multiple
multiple
arms, which is like kind of to show it as an omnipotent being.
Yeah, like she doesn't even think of him as human.
No, like he's some kind of like god figure that can do anything, or is like, I don't know. It's
like she's really idealizing him.
Yeah. Like he's the perfect being.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you would have to think that he would be the perfect being if you're willing to kiss a head made out of old gum.
I don't know if it was just me, because the pizza didn't sit right with me, so... But this episode just seemed really gross to me.
It was very, very gross. Yeah. Like, there's just poop everywhere and garbage. Well, bird poop, not human feces. But, like, that. Speaking of bird poop, like, what kind of house was it that she crashed into with the fishing rod? Was that a pigeon house?
Yep, it's like a coop.
Like, do people have coops for pigeons? Like, because I kind of went under the assumption that pigeons are most of the time seen as pests in the big city.
We're gonna be seeing an episode later that kind of.
I know which episode you're talking about.
All right. But I don't know about real world stuff like that.
No, pigeon keeping is a thing. I feel like it's. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, so don't quote me. But it's definitely a thing. I just think it's not quite as common as it used to be.
Okay.
But do they do it like in shacks on roofs in big cities?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can't say that for certain, but I do remember seeing another movie in which that was a thing, a live action movie. So I'm guessing it. Maybe there's. Let me quick see. Okay, so as far as Pigeons go. Pigeon keeping is the art and science of breeding domestic pigeons. People have practiced pigeon keeping for about 10,000 years in almost every part of the world. In that time, mankind has substantially altered the morphology and behavior of the domesticated descendants of the rock dove to suit his needs for food, aesthetics, satisfaction, and entertainment. People who breed pigeons are commonly referred to as pigeon fanciers. The hobby is gaining popularity in the United States after having waned within the last 50 years. Both the hobby and commercial aspects of keeping pigeons was thriving in other parts of the world. And then there's like this huge section on like the different types of coops and pens that they have. There's like trap landing boards, fly pens, nest boxes, perches, lofts, a dude cot. So yes, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, this is already outside our realm of
knowledge.
like, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense now, because wouldn't pigeons be the ones that were usually used for messaging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During World War II.
Yeah.
Or was it World War One?
I think World War One was more common with pigeons.
I think it may have been two. I
Could
don't even know.
Yeah, but I think it was more prevalent in one than two.
There was actually this really bad CG like animated movie. I couldn't even remember what it's called. It's probably something like War Pigeons or something that involved like pigeons that were like delivering messages during the war.
I've seen that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it's called?
No, I don't. But I actually remember, somewhat enjoying it when I was younger.
Yeah,
it wasn't amazing, but it was a weird movie.
Yeah.
It was Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
As the lead pigeon.
Yeah. I can't even remember what it was called though. Like
we can probably find out just like typing in Ewan McGregor pigeon.
Valiant.
Yeah, Valiant. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Like there was this period where, wow, that's totally off topic.
Yeah,
anyway.
let's get back to thing. Okay, so back to his enchanted hat.
Enchanted hat.
Yeah, because it must somehow be enchanted, because as soon as he's not wearing it, it's almost as if his charisma has been lowered by several points.
Are you trying to DM up in here to say that his hat has like +2 charisma or something?
No, it has more like +4. As soon as it's gone, they're like, "Oh, you look sick. You look terrible. What's wrong with you?"
Well, I actually really like that, because I think it had all to do with Arnold's perception of himself.
Yeah.
He automatically thought, "Oh, I look terrible. I'm not the same person as I used to be." And it was that pessimism and sour mood that made people think that he was somehow looked different. And once he decided, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm just going to continue my life and be who I am. Because, as his grandfather said, it's on the inside. And he had that positive attitude. Everyone's like, "Oh, you look great. What happened?"
Yeah. Like, it was definitely his attitude and just how he looked. He looked so depressed. And of course, people are going to respond to that, not the fact that he doesn't have his hat. But, that's just confirmation bias.
I think that the reason that, all of a sudden his confidence is better, and then everyone starts complimenting him. I got the feeling there was more Gerald telling people ahead.
Yeah. When he was, giving a thumbs up. When Arnold walks past today, you should probably compliment on him, because he's feeling really bad about not having his hat.
Yeah, because then, what is it, Harvey, the mailman?
Yeah.
It was like, you look like a
bronzed up Greek god.
Yeah, sun-bronzed Greek god. And Gerald was just like, "Okay, wow, you went way too far with that."
It was meant as a compliment, not that.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself on any watch list, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
The teleporting hat.
Yeah.
That was a tiny animation error. It was pretty funny.
It's baffling if you catch it as a kid.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Wait a minute."
when his grandpa's telling him that it's all about the inside, not the outside, for a frame there, while they're talking about him not having his hat. He has his hat, and it's gone again. So animation error, but still, I thought it was fun.
That was actually one of my favorite things as a kid was when Arnold is staring into the mirror and he's hearing his grandpa going, "It's just, what's on the inside."
Yeah, yeah.
And then, "Are you listening, Arnold?"
Yeah.
Inside, not the outside.
Like I got the feeling that it was his grandpa talking through the ventilation. Like that's why there was this echo. It's on inside.
Speaking of parents, this is also when we sort of see. Well, actually, we didn't actually see her, but we get a bit more of Helga's mother.
Yeah.
At this point, it's still doing that thing where, like, cartoons always do that thing where they don't show the parent's face for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Why do cartoons do that?
I don't know.
It's really weird. Like, I think the weirdest version of that was probably, I forget if is it called Cow and Chicken?
Yeah,
I was thinking about
where
it's
but then again they kind of make it a thing where they literally are just legs and they use their legs for everything.
But I think it started with like Looney Tunes, and they didn't want to go to the whole trouble of animating like lip syncing a whole face.
Yeah.
So they were just like just legs.
Just a body.
Yeah. When Helga is kissing the shrine, it's the same gross sound effect as when Arnold is brushing his hair.
I guess that means he has gum in his hair. Maybe his hair is gum.
Maybe that's why Helga made the whole shrine out of gum, because he is made out of gum. Maybe when Arnold is chewing gum, he's chewing a part of himself.
Maybe he's chewing another person who was gum. He's a cannibal.
Maybe. Oh yeah, but like Helga's mom, she also has that. She still has that kind of like drunk voice going on. And
drunk, absent-minded, like she doesn't really care.
She didn't even realize what the shrine was.
Yeah.
Right. It was just, here's this trash.
If I opened up my child closet and I saw that, I don't even know what my reaction would be.
Yeah.
I think I'd just walk out of that house and into the sunset and never return.
Also, she uses the blender without the lid on, and somehow, magically,
it stays inside.
It's all the liquid stays inside.
Now, what is she blending that requires Tabasco?
Probably an alcoholic drink.
No. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
A Bloody Mary.
You know what? It was probably a Bloody Mary.
We'll see more of her. We'll see a lot of her, actually. She was one of the very interesting characters, and as a kid, I was always very confused by her, and I wanted to understand more, but I think it took me a long time to put together that she was supposed to be a drunk.
Yeah. I was, like, really concerned about her all the time.
Is
she okay?
Yeah, because since I had no idea she was supposed to be an alcoholic, I just couldn't understand her behavior.
Yeah. Is she really tired, like, all the time?
So that's going to be a thing that like that's her thing, that she's an alcoholic.
They don't say it in the show,
but it's implied, heavily implied.
Yeah, it's heavily implied, and also I think it's been confirmed, like on Twitter.
The good old Twitter confirmation.
Yeah. Craig Bartlett has done a lot of really cool like confirmation of stuff on Twitter.
Oh, I should actually go on his Twitter and read stuff. So
like Eugene. Like he said Eugene is kind of gay.
Oh.
Is basically gay.
Okay. I'm not surprised. Like I kind of imagined, but I felt that if any character was, it was probably him.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also slightly got that feeling for Phoebe at first, but then something later happens that kind of well, no, I guess she could still be. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Helga makes a comment about how the one thing she wants is Arnold's hat, but then she says, "Oh, but also like world domination." And I read a thing recently that was like, whenever whenever boys are like bossy or anything, oh, they have great leadership skills. But when a girl is bossy, she's being a bitch.
Yep.
And this is one of those things where I'm like, okay, world domination sounds a little evil, but she's 9. She has great leadership skills.
Yeah, she has great ambitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could see that from the very first episode with the play.
Yeah.
Just as long as
Also,
she doesn't go undoing any laws about privacy.
yeah.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be a thing. We should probably try and not make a comment of it every time so it's not 80% Helga is a stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when she stops being a stalker, then we'll stop talking about her being a stalker.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So why is the Jolly Ollie man handing out free ice cream?
Well, his car crashed into
A fire hydrant.
a fire hydrant, so he's stuck there for a while, probably until it can get towed. So all his ice cream, is if the car isn't running, then like maybe the freezer isn't running, and then the ice cream's gonna melt.
But the Jolly Ollie man, I mean, it's a later development, but the Jolly Ollie man is a sadist. Like, he hates kids.
Maybe it was
Well, maybe they
poisoned.
didn't get to that yet.
Maybe there was poison
Oh,
in the
oh,
ice
yeah.
cream.
Or maybe he was like, I want to make all these kids fat.
Yeah, maybe.
Give them a tummy
That'll
ache.
teach them.
Yeah.
Yep. Brain freeze.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cause pain to these children.
I like your use of the word sadist.
He is.
I didn't have anything else written for that episode. How about you guys?
No, I'm done.
No.
Alright then, so the next episode is Stoop Kid, which is all about this kid who's a bully and he's always on his stoop and harasses anyone who goes on by. And if you drop a ball there or anything that belongs to you, it's pretty much gone since he's not going to let anyone have it back. Arnold figures that he's able to get the football that he accidentally kicked on there by grabbing it and running, since he never leaves his stoop, and that's exactly what happens. And then all the kids start mocking him, saying things like "Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop," which really upsets him, and Arnold goes ahead and takes time to try and help him get over his phobia, which he manages.
Yes.
So,
Hold on, I have a first comment.
what?
Kiadine, did you know before this what a stoop was?
Yes.
Because I was wondering, because like stoops are a thing that we have in Denmark, right?
They are a thing, but they're not a thing like they are in America.
But this isn't a porch, though. This is a stoop.
I know.
And porch culture is something that doesn't exist in Denmark. And I think that's a problem. And we're going to build a house with a porch next to a sidewalk, and we're going to greet people. We're going to sit on the porch. We're going to greet people when they walk by, and it's going to freak them out.
You're very determined about this.
Yes.
So, want to talk on what you mean exactly by porch culture? Just for anyone
So in
else.
America, when I lived in the city, it was really like it was just something you did when it was a nice day out. You would go and sit out on the porch and enjoy the weather, and people would walk by on the sidewalk, and you'd wave at them and say, "Hey, what's up?" Even if you didn't really know them. And that's not really a thing in Denmark at all. First of all, they don't have porches. Second of all, like, you don't even acknowledge each other ever.
Some people do, but a lot of people like to, be in their own space when they're out and about.
That's kind of really sad, though.
Well, it's a different culture. I wouldn't call it sad. I would just call it different.
It's lonely.
Not if people don't feel lonely.
I don't know about.
I think it's a difference of culture.
All right.
I'm not saying that like people shouldn't try to be more social. I'm just trying to say that maybe that's not what people here are used to for the most part.
Yeah.
So while like I agree, like people probably should acknowledge each other more, just so we're all part of a thing and not just individuals walking around just never talking to anyone else.
It's
Yeah.
kind of.
I literally feel like I'm walking in a crowd of zombies whenever I'm
Aww.
like at the train station or something.
It's kind of funny because when I was much, much younger and I was growing up on Lime Street, which was like in the middle of the city, just a couple blocks away from downtown. I used to experience that as well. The houses were really squished and cluttered together, and so all the porches were really nearby, and we'd just sit out and talk with our neighbors. It was perfectly normal and just something that you would do almost every day as long as the weather permitted. And now
And it's nice.
that's nice, but and what I'm noticing about myself, because when I think about how I was when I was younger, I was so much braver, so much more confident, so much more social, and now I'm not. I'm probably more like a Dane in this regard. Whenever I'm outside on the streets, I just want to keep to myself completely. And it's so funny because I started realizing this when you were talking about how people acted on trains and buses. You said that in America, in the United States, people would just talk to each other easily, and that was the norm. And to me, it stuck out because that wasn't the norm for me. But then I realized that's probably because of how I changed. I used to be much more social when I was younger. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's also something that should be taken into account. Because I don't know if I feel I can say, at least in this area where I am now, if people are all that social. For example, the house I'm in right now is kind of like it's split in half. So it's two houses and the other half is occupied by a different family. I have no idea who they are. I don't know their names.
Oh.
I don't even know how many people are in there. And our
Yeah.
porch is literally the same porch. It's just divided in half.
But it's not a porch though, it's a stoop.
A stoop, yeah. Yeah, stoop.
Yeah. We got way off topic. And that's my fault.
No, I mean it was something interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have, of course, exaggerations and kid stories and gossip that revolves around this Stoop kid, as all kids do, making up these really exaggerated stories about what this person can do. Oh, he killed a kid for just looking at Stoop, and oh, he's gonna beat you up and everything, and like sure, some of those stories may come from something, but as with most gossip and stuff like that,
Gets exaggerated.
it's very exaggerated.
Can I say that I love this is the first time we see this. It happens a couple more times in the series. I love that Sid is like the intro to the
Yes.
lore. And then he passes it off to Gerald, who is the lore master.
The whole thing with the urban legends was one of my favorite parts because we get so many of those, and it really sort of drives home the imagination that kids had, and especially during this time when we didn't really have a lot of other things to occupy ourselves, how stories and rumors and gossip and just using our imagination was how we came by. And this whole section reminded me of something I saw recently when I was watching two best friends play Catherine. They were commenting how in the game and a lot of other Atlas games and a lot of other Japanese RPGs, how everything is about, have you heard the rumor? Have you heard the legend? And they were speaking that you see that in so many Japanese RPGs, because so many people care about how people view them, and so they care about what other people are doing as well. But I feel that doesn't just apply to Japan. Like maybe it's more prominent there because of how much more they are focused on the community as opposed to the individual. But you see that everywhere and for so many reasons.
Yeah. Whenever I think of like urban legends and stuff, I think about two things. First of all, there was this one time I was on a camping trip, and we were telling stories around the campfire, and there was one of the stories was about these albino deer that have red eyes and psychic powers or whatever, and it kind of like energized us, like, oh, there's something we need to be looking out for, and we need to work together. It kind of bound us all together
Aww.
to like, even though like all of us didn't really get along, we were all like, we gotta like protect each other from these albino psychic deer. But then also like the really big thing now is like internet urban legends, like Slender Man and stuff.
Yeah.
Creepypasta.
Yeah, and how I guess there was that bit of news a few years ago where there were like two girls in middle school who like were going to sacrifice one of their classmates to prevent Slender Man from getting them or something, or to
What?
summon Slender Man. Yeah, and I was like, that's when you take your imagination a little too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, urban legends were, albino psychic deer.
How can you resist that?
We need not like sacrifice one of your classmates to summon the albino psychic deer.
You know what? I don't even remember having any urban legends and as like growing up.
The one
That's another thing you Danes are missing. Urban
the one
culture.
I remember the
Yeah.
most is Bloody Mary.
Yeah, of course.
Bloody Mary. Oh God, what are the other ones? La Chupacabra, El Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure we had urban legends. I just personally don't remember any.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You blocked it out of
I
your
just
mind.
remember
Yeah. I must have been traumatized.
there was this one time my mom was helping out with the after school program, and we were in the school gym, and this gym had the locker rooms down in the basement, and some of the girls that were with us, I don't think they were like friends of mine or anything, but they were like my classmates. They were like, we're gonna go down into the locker room and turn the lights out and look into the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times. And I was just like, yeah, have fun with that. And they went down there and did it, and then they came like running upstairs screaming, and my mom's just like, kids.
I think I just remembered one actually.
What?
It was when I was in public school.
Yeah.
And we had there was this big field for activities, and then next to that there was a big football field, like 2 football fields.
Like, how old were you? Like this is
Like
grade
this
school.
is between, like, I was at the same school from age 7 to 15.
Mhm.
So like I don't remember when. I might have been like 10, 11,
Yeah.
around that age, and maybe younger. But separating these two, this activity field and these 2 football fields, was this barrier of forest. Like it wasn't very wide, but it was like this whole line that was kind of separating them of a tiny bit of forest that kids would play in. They would run around in there and just have a good time being kids, climbing trees, stuff like that. But there were some rumors that there's this guy hanging out like all the way at the end of this stretch of forest, like this man who would like grab you if you went there all alone. So like at least me personally, I was kind of a little nervous about going to the end of the forest from then on, but But eventually I did it, and there was nothing. I think maybe it was like they saw a drunk guy or a homeless man or something hanging out in the forest.
If anything, like kids just make stuff up
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah, just to have something exciting.
You know, I was like trying to think of some other urban legends, and this doesn't really count as one, but it was a big like thing that was frightening everyone. Y2K.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Did you guys have the Y2K scare in Denmark or
What is the
Oh,
Y2K?
God.
Like,
It was-
I've heard the name a lot, but I don't know the
Pretty much people were making the argument that computers and the internet and all that weren't programmed to be able to handle the sort of change from the year 1999 to 2000. And so they were like,
that.
all of technology is just going to fall into ruin and society is going to collapse.
yeah.
Oh no,
Like-
no. We didn't like I never experienced that. Like then again, I was 7 when this whole thing was going on. So if people were panicking, I wasn't exactly old enough to either pick up on it or maybe like the adults didn't want to talk about that with kids around. So that was never a thing for me at least. But I never hear anyone. I've never heard anyone in Denmark ever talk about it.
Yeah. The Y2K scare was like stupid. Like,
Even as a child, I
I-
was just, this is stupid. Even if the computers
Yeah.
like get confused, are you saying that we have become so incompetent that we won't be able to sort of just continue on and fix the issue? But
yeah, like we survived for thousands of years without computers. But like what confused me as a kid was like I kind of felt like I wanted to be scared of it, but I was so confused about what to be scared about because I was hearing so many different things about like zombies, aliens, maybe, I don't know. And I was like, what? Okay, you got to tell me what I'm supposed to be scared of. Because this abstract
Vague.
concept of like computers and then the economy will crash and then like as a kid you're like okay,
yeah.
I don't care.
Those are just
I have
words.
this very
Yeah.
vivid memory. We used to get Time magazines, like for kids, that would sort of try and explain current events to children in a way they could understand. And there was an article on Y2K, or also known as the Millennium Bug, that showed this person shopping and they were just trying to buy a single apple, but the cash register showed $9,999. I was just, we can just do the actual math in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a great like episode of, you know what, again, I was going to talk about King of the Hill.
should we get back on track?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't
Yeah.
supposed to be super
So-
professional, you know?
No, that's true. Sorry. But yeah. So Arnold goes to try and get the football back.
Hold on, why didn't Arnold know this story and everyone else did?
Well, Arnold is supposed to represent the viewer, us, the people who don't know this lore that
But he's
is in
lived
this
there,
community.
he's lived there his whole life.
Yeah, but then maybe like they could be like, oh yeah, I remember that now. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a storytelling thing where it's like, oh, it's a Stoop kid, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can't get my football then. Like
Yeah.
then you kind of miss out on this whole like, oh well, there's this whole story. Let me tell you about it.
But they could have had literally any other kid being like, "What? I haven't heard this story," and then they go into Gerald's whole story.
Well-
But after Gerald tells the story, Arnold's still like, "So what? Does this mean I can't get my football back?"
Well, like again, like if Arnold was so ingrained in his like fear of this like urban legend, then he would never approach the Stoop, and we would never get any character development. It's because he doesn't know about it that he, can actually try to change it.
Mm.
Because everyone else is super scared of it, and they don't want to they don't want none of that.
Yeah.
So it's also it's like a way for us to share in that story, and also a way for Arnold to have a chance to change things.
Yeah.
But when Arnold went to pick up his football, for some reason I felt that the way that Stoop Kid said, "Yeah, go ahead." Like, even though he said it like that, I kind of thought it was going to be something like, "Oh, he's just misunderstood." Really, he did just mean, "Okay, go ahead and take it."
Yeah.
But obviously that was not the case, as we see later when he's bullying people, yelling at people, threatening them, and we also get to see how he seems uneducated, or at least not very well able to read.
Well, obviously, because he didn't go to school.
Yeah. He lived his whole life on the stoop.
I have so many questions about the stoop.
And about him. How old is he? He's obviously a minor since he's being called a kid. Where are his parents?
Where's his family? Yeah.
Why doesn't he go inside the building? Is it locked? And if so, is it abandoned?
Yeah.
Why isn't
how does he
doing anything
get
about
food?
this?
Yeah. How does he get food? Where is he getting water and electricity from? Since he's watching TV, and he uses a hose to take a shower.
How does he handle bad weather?
And where does he go? Where does he go to the bathroom?
Just this pile of poop on either side of his stoop.
Well, there's a trash can. just bring the trash can up there, squat over it. He went from the stoop kid to poop kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was bad. But I kind of get the feeling that the phobia they were trying to portray would be what, agoraphobia?
Probably that's fear of the outside.
That's like fear of crowds and open spaces.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more like he's afraid to leave his stoop.
He's afraid. Yeah, he's afraid to kind of leave his
home.
base.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's less agoraphobia and more just, I don't know, general anxiety.
We were talking in the other episode about how Harold seemingly has no reason to be a bully, but that's actually an exception. Most of the bullies in this series that we see all have reasons for being how they are.
Yeah, that's why I had to point out about Harold making no sense. Also, quick newspaper printing.
Yeah,
they're right on it.
But I think that's more meant to symbolize the fact that word spread so quickly throughout the community because it's so tight knit that okay, the newspaper is already on it and it's official. Oh, the Stoop Kid. Like, why would anyone else care about this?
Like, it must be a really slow news day if Stoop Kid is the cover story in this big city.
Yeah. Oh, Stoop Kid's afraid.
And again, if he's the cover story twice in a row, and it's clear that this is a thing that, he's a big thing because it's always on the cover, why hasn't the city done anything about this kid?
That's exactly why they haven't done anything about it, because he's a source of entertainment that keeps people distracted from how shitty a job they're doing on other things.
That's true. Just focus on the Stoop Kid.
He's a
red herring.
Yes, exactly, a red herring. And then we get the Arnold trying to help him out, and it doesn't go too well. But of course, showing him stairs all around the world seems to help. He's very obsessed with stairs.
Yeah, he loves stoops.
I mean, it kind of did work in terms of at least helping him get over his phobia, but then they showed that he was still a jackass, which was a good thing, because that is how things work. People don't just suddenly become good over the course of a couple hours.
They don't their personalities don't do a 180 change all of a sudden. But a very, very supportive community. Everyone comes out there trying to be like, "Yay, Stoop Kid! Come on, do it!"
The same community that was taunting him.
Exactly. That it's like, well, they need something to be a part of in order to not focus on their own lives.
Yeah.
So whether it's negative or positive, as long as they're following the crowd, it's all good.
Yeah. I love how as soon as the whole Stoop kid's afraid to leave a Stoop thing goes around, Harold has to jump on it.
Yep.
Of course.
And then, like, the next day, after, like, the whole thing, that Stoop kid has, like, gotten off his stoop and everything, Harold gets off a bus carrying a suitcase to show that he hasn't been there for the past 24 hours.
Yes, he was not there.
And has clearly been away.
Conveniently.
Yeah, to justify having him be a jerk to Stoop Kid for no reason.
Yeah.
And then have Stoop Kid jump off his stoop and chase him down.
I actually didn't put that together, that the fact that he was carrying a suitcase was meant to symbolize he wasn't there, because then I was like, was he just not there yesterday? So yeah, I guess he that's exactly what it is. He just
Because
wasn't
he wouldn't
there.
have had the balls
Like,
to do it if he had known.
Of course. Like, I feel like he had to have, taunted Stoop Kid and then, had his fun and then walked home. And then his parents were like, oh, you gotta pack your suitcase. You're going to your aunt's for the night.
Yep.
And then get on the bus. And then he goes to his aunt's for the night. Stoop Kid makes his great recovery. And then Harold gets off the bus with his suitcase the next day, not knowing what has occurred.
He didn't read the local newspaper, apparently.
Yeah. The hyper-local newspaper.
Yep. But it's good to see that, even bullies can get some confidence about some of their social anxieties or just anxieties in general.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a stepping stone for Stoop Kid to no pun intended. The first step for Stoop Kid to become a better person.
The first stoop for Stoop Kid.
Step Kid.
He's only ever on one step. He doesn't leave that step.
Oh no.
Or it's a completely different character, Step Kid. Like, it's if someone's like step parents have a step kid.
Or he just really likes step dancing.
Yes.
He's Butters.
Yeah.
Well, unless you guys have any last things you wanted to discuss.
Let me see. The only other thing I had written down was that we didn't get to was about how as soon as Stoop Kid showed any kind of weakness, just how quickly everyone was ready to bully him. How like this entire like mythology they had built up around him just cracked.
But that's because he was being a jerk to everyone.
Well, yeah, he was being a jerk. So like, of course, people are gonna try to jump on it. But I just think it was
really harsh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, harsh and interesting to see just how quickly like this whole like horror story that they had built up around him being like a killer was just disappeared immediately as soon as it was like, oh well, actually we'd never even thought about the fact that he just didn't want or like could leave his stoop.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was 2 good episodes, I think.
You also drew a very interesting drawing during this whole thing.
Yes, I will send it to Coco,
Oh.
so she can see it.
And I will go ahead and probably put that up so you guys can see it.
Sounds good. I hope people will enjoy it for what it is.
Well then, we will see you guys on the next episode. As always, if you have anything that you want to add to the discussion, tell us about the stoop culture of your country, please do so. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye!
Hello YouTube, welcome back to 4 Pixels. It's just going to be Coco today playing Cave Story. You've probably already heard of this game. If not, it's a free game that you can get online if you just Google Cave Story. I recommend it. It's a nice little throwback game and very cute and very interesting storyline. As you have guessed, this is not going to be a blind playthrough, but I will be going for a hell run. Not a speed run. It's been quite a long time since I've played this game through to the end, and I will be playing with a controller, which I have not done before, so we shall see how this goes.